Welcome to the motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. Another look at MVP's recent signings. They signed middleweight champion, unified middleweight champion of Australia, Desley Robinson. Sports a professional record of 10 wins with 3 losses, no draws, 3 knockouts, having never been knocked out in 13 professional bouts, 37 years old, and not immediately known to the boxing community at large. Even to some boxing fans who may keep up with women's boxing, they may not be familiar with Desley Robinson because she mostly fights out of her native Australia. So this is a chance for her to expose herself to that audience. But why her? Why did MVP decide to invest in a little-known Australian middleweight champion at a time where the women's middleweight division isn't exactly booming? It was likely because of who else they've signed in the middleweight division. Canada's own Tam Thibault, a spectacular fighter that I've been ranting and raving about ever since I laid eyes on her. Tam Thibault is the real thing, and she debuted as a professional not but 2 fights ago at age 28, which is definitely later on in life and much later than most other boxers decide to go pro. She's got the great amateur background, the great amateur pedigree, so she can hit the ground running as a professional, and that's what she's doing. What does that have to do with Desley Robinson? Desley has 2 alphabet titles at this weight, the IBF and WBO titles. The other 2 are registered as being vacant. Now, technically, Claressa Shields is still Ring Magazine champion at this weight, but given that she's all the way up there at heavyweight, with no immediate plans of moving back down, she is a non-factor in this conversation. So, what I could see happening is Tam Thibault fighting for the 2 vacant titles in the not-so-distant future, at which point she will look to unify them with Desley Robinson. The old saying goes, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. That's what they're doing for Tam. At some point, Tam is going to fight Desley. They just want to make sure they've crossed all the T's and dotted all the I's so the fight is easy to make. You're saying that they basically signed Desley to feed her to Tam.
Saying it's a dog-eat-dog world. It's a tough business. Somebody's got to win and somebody's got to lose.
Desley can still come out of this all right. If she gets 1 or 2 fights in the interim, a chance to make money on a big stage en route to the Tam Thibault fight, it works out for everybody. That would allow MVP a chance to promote Desley a bit before that fight, build it,
Then do it.
So if you're wondering, why did MVP sign a little-known 37-year-old middleweight champion? It's to make the Tam Thibault fight. That's the short version. Do you think that Tam Thibault might at some point end up fighting Claressa Shields? I'm not sure. Claressa Shields recently stated that she means to have a child in the coming calendar year, and maybe another one after that. I'm not even sure that Tam Thibault is on her radar. If Claressa Shields ain't too crazy about coming down to 168 for Jadeja Green, who's more well-known, I doubt that she's going to drop all the way down to 160 for a fighter with 3 fights. I don't think Tam is on her radar, and I think Claressa is a non-factor in this conversation, at least at the moment. And if she holds to her plan to have a child or 2 in the coming year, that would at minimum keep her out for at least 18 months. She could see Tam Thibault having the run of the place at middleweight uninterrupted without any immediate threats. There is word that former unified middleweight champion Christina Hammer just signed with Mark Taffet.
She's not a threat to Tam.
But what she is a decorated fighter and a familiar face with only 1 recorded loss. So that if at some point Tam goes in there with her and knocks her out, that's a nice feather in her cap, because not even Claressa was able to knock out Christina Hammer.
It's all coming up Tam.
They are laying the foundations for Tam's path to glory, and I believe that it all starts with a Desley Robinson fight. Desley is the only available champion to fight in the middleweight division right now.
I expect MVP to make that fight inside of the next 12 months.
And even if the intention was to feed Desley to Tam, it's still a chance for Desley to make money. And that's what it's all about. Don't lose sight of the fact that these are prize Fighters. Elsewhere in the world of boxing, veteran boxing scribe Manuka Kopiang said, "Here's what Ryan Garcia told me regarding the state of his relationship with Oscar De La Hoya and Goldenboy, what led to the recent reignited feud, and what his future holds with the company." It's a lengthy read. Ryan said, "I've always tried to mend the relationship and be the bigger person. I've said in the past that families fight and always put it aside. But it's really hard to deal with a promoter who's really involved with himself. He loves the attention still, even at his age. It just never works with his fighters, especially the ones who are the stars. You saw what happened with him and Canelo. He causes a division in people, and he doesn't know how to keep a good relationship. He likes to air people's business and do things that a promoter shouldn't. He's always been coming at me. There's always riffraff. I don't care that he posted the screenshot, because at the end of the day, I know my worth. After the Romero fight, he gave me the worst offer you can ever imagine. It was a bullshit offer. And then Oscar tried to make my rematch with Rolly and gave it to Raul Curiel. Like, bro, I've been trying to get the Rolly rematch, and now you want to give it to another fighter? It's a slap in the face. And it keeps happening over and over again. It's disrespectful. There is no loyalty. It's offensive. And they show me their true colors every time. I don't want to be a part of a team like that. And that's just the truth. Why is he hating on the only guy who's making him money? Gervonta Davis and I made $100 million in our fight. Who is the other fighter from Goldenboy who's a star? They don't have any. I'm not being rude because I respect my fellow fighters. It's just the truth. Canelo told me back in the day, and I should have listened. Oscar has no trust or belief in me. Great fighters lose, and they come back, rebuild, and get better. Look at all the times he lost and came back. He was still the golden boy, and I was rooting for him. That's what the sport is all about. Oscar doesn't respect me. I don't think he ever thought I was a good fighter, but frankly, I don't care. I have one more fight left with him, and that's it. If they can build another star, great. I want to move on. These kinds of things happen in life, and everything happens for a reason. I have the star power, unlike others, and I am coming back with a vengeance. I am a great fighter, and I can bounce back from anything. I am 26, and I will be back. My comeback will be a beacon of hope for everyone. Man, woman, child, and dog. Spirit
And demon alike.
It is true that Oscar seems to have a difficult time maintaining relationships with his A-listers, and that's what his history shows. But at the same time, there is some blame to be levied towards Ryan. He says that Oscar never had any faith in him, and he doesn't respect him. My question is, why should he? Ryan is the same guy who literally has a video uploaded where he's saying he didn't even bother to train for the Rolly Romero fight. So why should he respect you? Why should he take you seriously when you don't take yourself seriously? Your career, your legacy. Afterwards, he said he was spooked because of the lack of atmosphere in Times Square. It didn't seem to bother Rolly, so how is that an excuse for you? And you expect to garner respect from somebody like Oscar saying shit like that. Oh, the lack of atmosphere, that's what costed me the fight. That, and I didn't bother to train. Oscar has his faults in this, make no mistake. Oscar is to blame for some things, Ryan for others. He's always talking about how he's the only star that Goldenboy Promotions has, that he's the only one who can draw. But what about fight? How well can you fight? 2 losses already before he's even challenged for an alphabet title. Well, didn't he challenge Devin Haney for his WBC title at super lightweight? No, because he blew the weight, remember? That fight didn't crown him WBC champion. And the doping fiasco, that didn't help either. So when Oscar doesn't take you seriously, and Oscar doesn't respect you, this is why, and this is what Ryan fails to acknowledge. I think that Oscar looks at Ryan as a burnout. A popular burnout, but a burnout nonetheless. A burnout still. He doesn't have what it takes to go all the way. And it's been this way between Ryan and Oscar for years now. This isn't new. I remember before the pandemic, they were having issues ahead of the Romero-Duno fight. The rift between Oscar and Ryan periodically rears its ugly head over and over again. It's always going to be this way between them because here you have a kid with zero accountability and a junkie with zero situational awareness. So anything between them is going to be a powder keg. Ryan says that his next fight will be his final fight of his existing Goldenboy Promotions deal. Then he can go his own way and do his own thing. But what thing is that? What exactly? This is a guy who thinks he doesn't have to make the weight, he doesn't have to follow the rules, all based on his social media following. I don't know how far you're going to get with that kind of attitude. Over to Oscar, who weighed in on his long-standing rift with another one of his fighters, what was his former golden goose, Canelo Alvarez. And with Canelo, it was a bit different, because unlike Ryan Garcia, Canelo was a consummate professional. So what could have went wrong between them? Oscar's version of the story. After years of working together under the Goldenboy Promotions banner, Oscar De La Hoya and Canelo Alvarez had a highly publicized and bitter split in 2020. While the business partnership once flourished, things turned personal and explosive. Tensions came to a head in May of 2024 during Fight Week for Alvarez's bout with Jaime Munguia. At a press conference, De La Hoya and Alvarez had to be physically separated by security in front of the media after nearly coming to blows. In a recent appearance on All the Smoke Fight, De La Hoya opened up about the falling out, admitting he still doesn't fully understand what caused the relationship to sour. Yes, he does. He's just playing dumb. I think it might be jealousy, De La Hoya said. I remember every time I would go into a room where he's at, all the attention turns over to me. He also denied that money was a factor in the feud, stating that there was zero whatsoever financial issues between him and Alvarez. When told that Alvarez might eventually appear on the show to share his side, De La Hoya responded with, "I hope so, because I need the answer." You can't expect to get an honest answer from Oscar De La Hoya as to what really happened, because what really happened is unflattering. Unflattering for him. Puts him in a bad light. But we went over all of Ryan Garcia's faults, all of his drawbacks and character flaws, but what about Oscar's? Why does he keep having problems with his A-listers? With the guys that are making him money? It's because he tries to screw over his own fighters. The short answer when it comes to Oscar and Canelo is Oscar tried to backdoor Canelo. That's what caused the falling out. Now, when exactly did things start to go sour between Canelo and Oscar? It seems like something that built up over time. Though when exactly it started, I don't have that answer. I just know when it came to a head, and that was in 2020. In between the time that Canelo fought Sergey Kovalev and went on to fight Callum Smith, there was an issue. After the Kovalev fight, DAZN started demanding what they were calling premium opponents for Canelo Alvarez. Given what they were paying him at the time, they wanted bigger names than just a Sergey Kovalev or a Daniel Jacobs. I remember articles at that time naming names like Gennady Golovkin. They wanted a third fight with Gennady, maybe a crossover fight with Conor McGregor or Jorge Masvidal.
What?
Yeah, I remember the articles at that time were saying that DAZN wanted premium opponents for Canelo Alvarez, or he would not get the same money moving forward. You fast forward, and Canelo Alvarez filed a lawsuit against both Goldenboy Promotions and DAZN in September of 2020, alleging a breach of contract related to what was their 11-fight deal worth $365 million, signed in 2018, seeking at least $280 million in damages. He didn't get it. The lawsuit's core allegations stated that Goldenboy and DAZN failed to fulfill the terms of the agreement, specifically regarding fight planning, opponent selection, and payments. Canelo and Goldenboy officially parted ways in November of that same year as the lawsuit was settled, leading to the dissolution of their relationship and the end of his deal with DAZN after only 3 fights. To make a long story short, if Goldenboy Promotions and DAZN could have held Canelo Alvarez to the initial agreement, they would have. The reason they didn't is because he was right. Here's what you need to know. Canelo's deal with Goldenboy Promotions predated their deal with DAZN. Okay. But Oscar De La Hoya, on Canelo's behalf, goes into that DAZN deal and empowers them to make decisions about who Canelo Alvarez fights and what it pays.
Okay.
That ability to make decisions for Canelo is what constitutes the breach. Up until that point, Canelo was in charge of who he fights. You can't just hand that right over to DAZN because you entered into a deal with them when you already have a deal with him. You already have a deal with Canelo. Seeing this,
They all decided to settle.
Canelo Alvarez achieved release and free agency from Goldenboy Promotions to negotiate fights on his behalf. He migrated over to Matchroom and continued to box on the DAZN platform, and Goldenboy was left in the win.
Why?
Because Oscar tried to backdoor Canelo. Made promises to DAZN that he couldn't deliver on Canelo's behalf, promising a third Gennady Golovkin fight.
You can't promise them that. That's up to Canelo.
Empowering them to make decisions about who Canelo Alvarez fights.
You can't promise them that. That's up to Canelo.
Now, obviously, that's not where the rift between Canelo and Oscar started, but that's definitely when it came to a head, and you can make certain inferences about their relationship just based on that. That you're going behind Canelo Alvarez's back, you're violating the agreement because you're sneaky, because you're a scumbag. Canelo was right about you. And the way we know he's right about you is if you could have held him to the initial agreement, you would have. Like you've been holding Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia's wanted to leave Goldenboy Promotions for a very long time. The reason that he hasn't is because Oscar's holding him to the deal. There's nothing there to constitute a breach of contract for Ryan to achieve his release, but with Canelo, there was. And that's why Goldenboy and Oscar, they didn't try to fight it. The cheapest alternative for them was to let him go. Because if you try to fight this and you let it play out in court, you're gonna lose. And if you lose, you're gonna be on the hook for a lot of money. As much as it pained them, the cheapest alternative was to just let Canelo Alvarez go, and we know that it hurt them because Goldenboy hasn't been the same since. So it seems to drive a wedge between Oscar De La Hoya and what are his own fighters as he keeps trying to backdoor his own fighters. And in this industry, reputations are everything. There's a reason that when Edgar Berlanga had a choice between signing to Goldenboy or signing to Matchroom, he decided to go to Matchroom. Shakur Stevenson was faced with the same choice and did the same thing.
He went to Matchroom.
Oscar's developed a reputation as a snake. Over time, I've seen anyone from Canelo to Juan Manuel Marquez to Shane Mosley accuse Oscar of stealing money from the fighters.
Reputations are everything.
So even when a train wreck like Ryan Garcia and all of his character flaws,
When he says that Oscar's not a good guy for all of his faults, he's right.
because Canelo Alvarez and several others have all said the same thing. They can't all be lying. They can't all be wrong. Oscar needs to get his shit together.
He does, because Ryan is right. He's the one guy on Goldenboy that actually sells, but at some point, he's not gonna be there. And when he's not, given your reputation, what are you gonna do?